Hey everybody, so for the next couple of videos, we're going to head back to 2018. 2018 was a really good year for us. Had a lot of bucks around, and bow hunting, myself, Colton, and my dad were all able to shoot bucks. Going into the year, I really had 3 deer I was after. The first buck on the hit list was one of the biggest bucks I've ever had the ability to hunt, and henceforth his name is Goliath. When he showed up in 2016, he was kind of a non-typical, but looking at how young he was either 2 or 3, and the size of the antlers that he had, I knew he was going to be something special down the road. And the next year, sure enough, he blew up into a giant. Unfortunately, he never really stuck around. When it came to September, he disappeared, and I didn't get another picture of him, so I thought he'd gotten shot. But the next year he came back and he was even more typical, and he was an absolute giant. But the same thing as the year before. Once it got to September, he just disappeared, and I never did see him. The next buck I was after is a 4-year-old named David. He always kind of was hanging around or fighting with Goliath, and that's how he got his name. So I had 4 years worth of history with David. He was a really unique looking deer. Even from the time he was 1.5, just from his face, I could tell who he was from year to year. So the first year he was just a small buck. The second year he was a nice 8-pointer. At 3, he blew up into a really nice 10, and I actually found his shed from that year there. And the following year, he pretty much stayed about what he was the year before, as a 4-year-old. But once we got into hunting season and Goliath disappeared, he was definitely my number one deer and the one that I kind of had my heart set on. And the third buck that I thought was old enough to shoot was a wide 8-pointer. I had him at 2.5 as just a small basket rack buck. 3.5, he started to really take shape into just a 17-inch wide 8-pointer with decent G2s. And then at 4, he added some mass, added some nice tine length, and got a little bit wider, and he was a really nice buck. So going into the year, those were kind of the 3 deer that I was going to focus on. So we're going to just jump into it. This video here is going to be from the start of season in September all the way through, I think, October 27th. So like early season and pre-rut this includes here. So up until about October 25th, I'd only seen David once, and he was kind of in a spot I didn't expect him to be. I had a lot of pictures of him in daylight, like within 75 yards of where I was actually sitting at all times. I just couldn't quite seem to catch up to him. And then I think it was the 25th to the 26th, I saw him, and he was down the hill from me a couple hundred yards away. I saw him about 8 o'clock. I decided to climb down like 10:30 roughly. And as I was walking out down the edge of the field, he had evidently laid down with a doe on the other side of the field on the edge of the woods. They saw me, they got up, they took off. So I was pretty disappointed that happened. And I knew that on a 4.5-year-old buck like that, it was going to take a couple days for him to come back around. So while I had my heart set on David, this 8-pointer, I knew pretty much exactly what he was doing. I knew his core. I knew I had a stand hung perfect for him. I just knew that we needed the right wind to get in there. So I checked the weather. I had the wind I needed to get into the stand, and I told Colton, I'm after David. If you want to shoot this 8-pointer, let's come try and get it done. I think we can get it done in a day or two here with this wind. The first morning we go in there, started off really slow the first like half an hour or so. Before light, we heard some deer chasing, some bucks grunting in the corn, chasing does around. Real nice morning, calm, crisp, kind of the typical morning that takes a little while to get going in the pre-rut. Gave it about a half an hour, 45 minutes, nothing was happening, so I reached in the bag, pulled out the bleat call, gave it a few bleats. About a minute later, I hear a deer coming down the trail. I look up, I recognize the deer immediately. I turn around and tell Colton, it's that 8-pointer, get ready, he's gonna come right down in here.
He's gonna come down here. It should be less than 30. Meh. I didn't see the shot. Where was it?
It might have been just a touch back.
Wait, I think he's going down. He's down. He's just standing there.
So like you heard Colton say there, he shot him. I didn't quite see the shot. I was trying to focus on the camera. He thought it was a touchback. The way the deer acted, it looked like it was back. The deer kind of just ran about 50 yards and then stopped, flicking his tail, and just walked off real slow. So Colton and I decided let's just stay in the stand. I obviously still had a tag, so I was still hunting. Let's just stay on the stand, give this deer a couple hours. While we're waiting to get out of the stand, a couple of little bucks come in behind us. They come into the woods to our right. We're just watching, and all of a sudden this one turns around, and it gives us the potty dance. So if you ever hear us joking about the potty dance, that's what it was. I don't know if you guys think it was as funny as we thought it was. We thought it was hilarious when we were in the tree. So after a few hours waiting, we decided let's get down and look. There was some rain that may or may not be coming in the forecast, so we just decided let's get down and look for the blood. Got down. His arrow was stuck in the tree. There was decent blood on impact. We decided let's just go ahead and try tracking this deer. About 50 yards down the trail, we find them laying there dead.
That's a beauty. That's a beauty. He's still. Congrats, man. That's a beauty. Look at that. That's a nice buck. I was a little nervous there for a while.
Oh my god.
That's a beauty.
That is sweet.